Here we are in Roquebrune, on the edge of the Mediterranean. What an epic view. Can architecture shape the rhythms of daily life? This time on An Architect's Perspective, we're exploring sensual modernism. This is not the heroic masculine modernism of Le Corbusier, but something quieter, more intimate, more human. And to understand it, I've come to the French Riviera, to a house that quietly reshaped modern design, Villa E-1027 by Eileen Gray. In a short while, I'll visit her hillside retreat, Tempe à Pailla.
Magical.
Then the iconic Villa E-1027. And later, I'll meet Michael Lickerman to talk about his work on the restoration of the villa. But before all that, I'm visiting Roquebrune-Cap-Martin, the old town that sets the scene for everything to come. So here we are in Roquebrune, on the edge of the Mediterranean. This was just such a hub of creative activity. We had sculptors, architects, painters, all working around this particular area in the early 20th century. We had Picasso, we had Le Corbusier, Eileen Gray. They spoke about modernism. They thought about the new era of the machine age. So somewhat in contrast to what the modernists spoke about, the law of the rippling whitewash, the machine aesthetic, we're in Roquebrune, which celebrates terracotta tiles, cobblestones, stone walls. Let's go take a look. Just along the coast lies the resting place of Le Corbusier. His legacy with Eileen Gray is complicated. As we'll discover later, he covered the walls of the villa with murals, a controversial move that continues to spark debate. We're here in Roquebrune-Cap-Martin at Le Corbusier and his wife Yvonne's final resting spot. We know that the relationship between Le Corbusier and Eileen Gray was somewhat problematic. However, it would be remiss of me not to come here and pay my respects whilst we're here in the south of France. To really understand Eileen Gray, we're going to be meeting two experts, Professor Tim Benton and Dr. Carmen Esperel. Before we visit Villa E-1027, we made a brief trip to Tempe à Pailla. Constructed in the early 1930s, it sits on the hills above Menton.
So from what we've seen so far, you wouldn't see much. There's just a wall.
Yeah.
But it's when we come around here that we get the drama of the house. Look at this, you see, with the staircase.
Yeah. Fantastic.
And leading up to the terrace. And this was just a kind of commanding post to see the countryside.
We see some of the original signs. Is this the sign that says Tempe à Pailla?
Yeah. So Tempe à
avec an
Pailla.
accent.
Tempe?
Yeah, à Pailla. As there's time and straw. With time and straw, the fruit will ripen. I would argue that this is one of the great houses. But looking at it from the street, you wouldn't really imagine that. You could pass by this and never notice it.
Given the tense history between Eileen Gray and Le Corbusier, I wanted to find out what Le Corbusier thought of this building.
At one point, he called this a submarine because it doesn't have a facade, which is exactly the difference between Le Corbusier's buildings and Eileen Gray's buildings. Eileen Gray's buildings are seen from the inside out. This was Le Corbusier being rude and ignorant,
As
basically.
always.
Yes.
And now we make our way to the main event, Villa E-1027, Eileen Gray's first major building. Built between 1926 and 1929 in collaboration with John Badavici, the house was designed as their holiday home. The name E-1027 is itself a kind of code. E for Eileen, 10 represents the 10th letter in the alphabet, which is J for Jean, 2 for B, Badavici, and 7 for G, Gray. E-1027, a subtle decoration of their shared lives. This is modernism reimagined, not as a machine, but as a home. It's architecture designed with empathy, with sensuality, dare I say, with love. So we must be approaching soon, Tim.
Yeah.
Oh, here we are.
Well, it's quite hidden, isn't it?
It certainly is. We've weaved in and out this staircase. Oh, wow, what an impact. To see this view from that staircase, the first arrival experience. Fantastic, what a privilege. The building's been slipped, you've got a clear view onto the ocean.
Well, there's this fantastic view right out towards Monaco.
Monaco over there.
Yeah, Monte Carlo.
It was almost a conscious decision to slip the house that way to keep this immediate impact from the staircase, do you think?
And then the house, our first view of the house is quite modest. It's not meant to be a big impact.
No. We've got this balcony. I mean, it's such an iconic balcony.
With the canopy, yes.
And the tubular steel.
Cantilever, no? And with this little curved path.
Little path, fantastic. So, Tim, this is very clearly a house raised up from the sloping site. Maybe you both could talk a little bit about that.
Yes,
and its
so
position.
It's built on the existing terraces. So this is the terrace here, and it's lifted up off that. But it's also canted round towards the sun.
29 degrees rotated to get a better south sun.
Right.
And then as we move forward, we get the first glimpse here through the window towards the sea.
Yeah, oh, wow. And as we're at this particular stage of the path, we can really see the shutters in their full glory.
Yes, and this is just such a typical Eileen Gray invention.
Yeah.
It's sliding shutters set away from the wall, which allows an air gap to cool the wall behind.
Right, so the heat rises in that space, windows can be open, and you get even on quite a calm, hot day,
inside.
the air is starting to move. So, entrance porch. Lots of stuff going on here, Tim.
Yeah. Well, this is the north side of the house. So in the summer, it was a cool place. And this is where they often used to dine in the summer. There's a photograph of Le Corbusier and Yvonne.
Oh, that's in this space?
Yeah,
yes.
Just here.
It's very impactful, this rather strong mural by Le Corbusier at this particular junction.
No, of course. It's
quite loud.
It's quite strong. But I think it's not bad here nowadays. We have the house here because of the Le Corbusier's murals and paintings.
Because the paintings were listed by the Monument Historique. So it became a landmark because of the paintings, first of all. And when the paintings were listed, they didn't even know who the architect was.
Is this a fitting painting for the architecture?
Well, I think there's two parts of that question. I think there's no question that from an ethical and aesthetic and a taste point of view, Le Corbusier should never have painted them. On the other hand, I think some of these paintings have actually qualities as art. I think this is actually rather a beautiful painting in itself, but it's inappropriate in its place.
And Carmen, you would agree that
Absolutely.
it's a beautiful painting, but it's not quite right for...
Yeah, maybe this is one of the few I could save from the house, because there are other that are really, really brutal.
And I think the thing is, in history, there are a lot of things that happen, debates, arguments, and so forth, which are interesting. I trained the guides, and what I say to them is, you must describe this as a dialogue. And like any dialogue, you can take sides.
Here you find the two labels that Eileen Gray drew. Sans interdit, that means sense forbidden, and entrer lentement, which means enter slowly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Immediately struck with that fantastic view over the pine tree and to see the horizon there in the distance. Absolutely fantastic. You come in and you're greeted with this fantastic space.
And what she's done is she's created these individual spaces that you can see.
She uses the color, she uses the rugs and carpets and all the interior design to produce different areas.
Right.
One area for the music, one area for resting.
And I think this is one of the most important things, because this is a house that's designed for moments. Unlike maybe some of the other modernist buildings, I think one of the beauties of Eileen Gray is it's specific for certain activities.
And in Eileen Gray, we have to say that it's very difficult to separate architecture, interior built-in design and furniture, movable furniture. But every furniture, built-in and movable, define the situation or the action you can do. Well, sense and sensibility, no?
Yeah.
You said in English.
And sensuality, which is the word that she
Yeah,
uses.
sensuality, a lot of sensuality everywhere.
Yes, you can imagine people going for a swim and coming back and having their martini, and they've had their meal, and then they flop down and have a siesta, and you might have 4 or 5 people, and the cushions are specially made so that you could extend right across the floor.
Tim, it's a very poetic notion to think you're lying on the beautifully designed divan, looking at the fire and then the sea in the distance. That's a beautiful idea.
Typical Eileen Gray. You know, it's all about touch and feel and gesture.
Such a great view.
Fantastic is the transparency all around, no? You can see through the bedroom to the other part of the garden, and well, the view.
And the view, you have to really be sitting down.
Exactly. This is why this dimension is really small.
You're going to get up from that, Tim?
Yeah. No problem.
Well done. So this is their bedroom, the master bedroom?
With the headlamp, again, the 2 lights, blue and white, a little table in the corner. So here she's created this little wash space.
Yes.
With a piece of furniture which she designed specially for this place. And the original of this is actually in the Pompidou Museum.
Right.
She's always explaining you how you can use the house, because it's not easy, because it's very abstract.
I think she's explaining to Badavisi.
Is he being architecturally henpecked?
I think she's trying to domesticate him.
Who was the boss in the relationship?
Oh, she was.
She was?
I mean, he was frightened of her, yeah. She says, in the end, she couldn't put up with his silliness and lies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Eileen Gray liked to have lots of exits into nature from different parts of the house. So let's go in here. This is the side entrance to the guest bedroom. And this is a piece of design by Eileen Gray, specifically not only for this house, but for her friend Badavisi. It's called the nonconformist chair. There's an armrest on one side, but not on the other, so you can turn around and talk to people. So this is for the modern man, the restless modern man.
Okay, here we are in the roof terrace.
With this beautiful glass canopy that she designed. And this is a beautiful view.
And Tim, Common, this is the final part of our tour. We're on the southern oceanside elevation. Maybe you could tell us a bit about how these spaces were used and what we're seeing here.
Well, really, this terrace is an extension of the living room with the same organization of the tiles marking different areas. So here, for example, is a place where they could sit and drink their cocktails in the evenings. There was a tree there. This is what Badavisi called the piste de danse, the dance tracks.
Dance floor.
And this is where they'd have come out in the evening, the gramophone playing on the terrace upstairs.
Imagine.
And with the lights of Monaco in the distance.
I think on that note, it's a wonderful moment to wrap up this tour and for me to say thank you both very much for showing us around, 2 experts in their field. What more could one ask for? Thank you, Tim.
And thank you.
It was a pleasure to be with you and to be with Tim at the same time.
Yes.
Pleasure.
To walk through E-1027 is to feel seen. It's architecture that anticipates your gestures. It's modernism not as ideology, but as empathy. Now, for the final part of my tour, we're meeting Michael Lickerman, who led the restoration of Villa E-1027 and without whom the house might not have survived. He welcomes us to his home, Le Corbusier, a gorgeous hillside retreat. I talk with Michael about what it really means to restore a house. Because with E-1027, it wasn't just about fixing a building. It was about recovering Eileen Gray's voice and restoring her rightful place as one of modernism's true pioneers.
So, Michael, can you just tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you ended up here in the south of France?
Well, I left England 53 years ago, to come to France to start Habitat in France, with a house first in Provence, where it was hot in summer, cold in winter, and the Mistral blew. So my wife wanted to come here to find a kinder climate and a project of restoring a garden. When we'd finished this garden here, we sort of took on the project of helping to restore Serre de la Madone for the Conservatoire. And they had one other property, which was the complex that includes Eileen Gray's Villa E-1027.
There are many projects in the world that one could be part of. Why Eileen Gray and why this villa specifically? What was so important about Eileen Gray to you, and what was so important about this villa?
I think the challenge, you know, you talk about it as if I was in love with the villa. I was in love with the challenge.
Right.
And the villa, which was obviously something extraordinary and magnificent, but the problem was how to get from the ruin it was in to getting it restored. And that needed a lot of work with the French administration.
Do you think the lack of knowledge around the beauty of that villa and indeed Eileen Gray's work in general contributed to the state of disrepair and it being in such a state of disrepair for a long time?
Oh, yes, of course. It's clear that it's a very important building, but it was only recognized as such well after the Conservatoire got interested in it. People come from all over the world now to see it.
I'm sure.
And, you know, it should continue as an inspiration for future generations. I mean, that's what one is doing it for.
Michael, thank you very much for meeting us today and for your time and for showing us around this beautiful garden. Thank you so much.
There's a lot more to see.
Please.
Villa E-1027 is a house made for the joy of living. It challenges modernism to design for the full range of human experience, not just efficiency, but pleasure. For mornings in bed with the windows open, for watching the sunset over the Mediterranean, for sipping cocktails and dancing on the terrace. In Eileen Gray's hands, modernism became sensual, intuitive, and deeply personal. And that's what makes Villa E-1027 so radical. It puts people back at the center of the story.
Next time on An Architect's Perspective, I sit down with Professor Tim Benton to explore Villa E-1027, Eileen Gray's pioneering house in the south of France. We discuss Gray's partnership with John Badavici, the controversial murals of Le Corbusier, and how this house came to be one of the most debated buildings of the 20th century. The full video will be available on YouTube if you'd like to watch, or if you prefer to listen, just search for An Architect's Perspective wherever you get your podcasts.